I'll never forget the night I learned what it meant to give everything you have, even if all you've got left is a tattered old doll and a little faith in the world. Funny how the smallest things, stuffed with cotton and hope, can change the course of not just a long night in a children's hospital, but an entire life. You want a hook? Try this. I gave away my last piece of childhood to a scared little girl whose daddy could buy the world, and neither of us knew we were about to save each other. Yeah, that happened. It was past midnight in December, the pediatric wing quiet except for the humming of monitors and the rattle of wind on the window. I'd been on my feet for what felt like days, just making my rounds when I heard it. This tiny, shaking voice. I don't want to sleep. What if I don't wake up? I found her curled up on her side, white-knuckling the sheets, eyes wide and shining, scared in that way only a kid staring down surgery at dawn can be. You know, like the world's a little too big and nobody's coming to shrink it for you. I pulled up a chair, tried to smooth back her damp hair, felt that old helpless ache twist in my chest. Because man, those words, I'd said them too once upon a time. I'd been that scared kid, holding on to a mother's promise that everything would be okay, and then waking up to realize I was alone for good. So when she asked if her heart would stop, when she wanted to know if anyone would be there when she woke up, I reached into my old tote bag, hand trembling, and pulled out that doll. She was nothing much to look at, a faded pink dress, one button eye, and an ear so crooked it could make you laugh if the mood was right. I'd carried her through every dark night, every foster home, every memory of a mother's hug. I told her my mom gave me that doll before my own surgery, told her it wasn't magic exactly, but it had helped me be brave when I couldn't do it alone. She just stared, then asked, voice all hope and fear, "Can she stay with me tonight?" And just like that, I handed her over, said she was hers, at least until she didn't need her anymore. And the way that little girl clung to that old doll, you'd have sworn she was holding on to a lifeline. She fell asleep, finally, breathing even and soft. I didn't know it, but there was someone watching us, her dad, Nicholas Crane. He stood outside, one hand on the doorframe, the other probably holding some contract, and just watched me give away my last comfort without asking for a thing in return. Nicholas Crane. Now there's a guy who makes an impression. Built like he was carved out of determination, the kind of man you'd expect to walk into a room and start buying everything in it. But that night, he looked tired, the way only a single dad running an empire can look tired. His wife had died 3 years back, left him with just work and this little girl, and he hadn't let the world surprise him since. Until now, he saw me tuck that doll under his daughter's chin, pull her blanket up, kiss her goodnight. And for the first time in a long time, I think kindness caught him off guard. He left quietly, the hall lights flickering, and ignored the phone buzzing in his pocket. Meanwhile, I sat there, the space beside my heart where the doll had always been feeling empty, but also not. The next morning after surgery, the air in that room felt so fragile, like even hope was holding its breath. But the girl, she was still here, cheeks pale but alive. I brought applesauce, a cartoon bear spoon, said, "Hey, sunshine, think you can try a bite?" She said only if I stayed. So I did. I read to her in funny voices, held her hand through the pain, told her it was okay to cry because fighting is hard, and sometimes tears are part of winning. Nicholas would come and go, silent, never far, always behind the glass. He watched as I brushed her hair, hummed silly songs, stayed late even after my shift ended. He'd hired every nurse and nanny in town, but no one ever got down on the floor to read a book just to make his daughter laugh. Nobody ever gave more than their job required. But I did, because she needed it, and maybe so did I. One night he saw me in the break room, eating leftovers in the dark, and I caught him watching me. His daughter started calling me Miss M, easier than Emily, she said. She even drew a picture, stick figures and all, with the doll right in the middle. Funny how you can give away something old and broken and find it shows up in a crayon masterpiece taped to a hospital wall. The days blurred. Every hour, every heartbeat. I was there, not because anyone asked, but because that's what real care looks like. Nicholas started showing up more, asking, "How's she doing?" in that careful way. I'd answer, "Ate a little more today. Asked for a braid." That's a good sign. He'd just nod, but you could see something softening in him, like maybe the world wasn't all numbers and deals after all. Then, one afternoon, he came into the break room while his daughter was napping. He thanked me, said I was remarkable. I shrugged it off. She was the brave one. But then he asked about the doll. So I told him about my mom, about the last gift I ever got, how I'd carried that doll through every foster home, every lonely night. He just listened. And when I said his daughter needed it more than I did, he said, that's what made it a gift. Right then, his daughter shuffled in, blanket trailing, sleep still in her eyes. She hugged me tight, said she'd dreamed I was gone, but I wasn't. Nicholas watched, not as a CEO, but just as a dad, realizing sometimes love is just staying, just being there. I'll never forget the look on his face when his little girl called me her best friend. A few days later, I walked into the break room to start my shift and found a small package on the table, soft tissue, red ribbon, a note. Inside was a new doll, hand-stitched with love and a crooked smile, just like the one I'd given away. Thank you for bringing my daughter joy, for reminding me what it looks like when someone gives from the heart. A grateful father. I sat down and cried, quiet, grateful tears, because he saw me, not just as a nurse, but as someone who had given a piece of herself. He came in a minute later, coffee in hand, and said he'd asked someone to make it. Used his daughter's description to get every detail right. I laughed, told him it was beautiful, but the old one was the last piece of my mom. You didn't replace it, I said. This is a new beginning. He understood, more than he knew. That afternoon, as his daughter packed to go home, she opened her suitcase and handed me back the old doll, said she didn't need her anymore, that she was mine first, and she missed me. I took it back, hands shaking, knees on the floor, thanking her for taking such good care of it. She hugged me tight, called me her real nurse, her best friend, and I don't think I've ever felt more seen in my life. Nicholas stood in the doorway, silent, watching love get handed back and forth like something sacred. Weeks passed. One evening, I was invited to their house for dinner. A cozy home, not the fortress I expected. Sophie, his daughter, set the table, 3 plates. Manifesting, she called it. Nicholas gave me a wooden hair clip, carved like the doll my mom made for me once. Sophie insisted I eat with them every night. As we ate, something shifted, simple, natural, laughter coming easier, glances exchanged that didn't need words. A year later, the 3 of us are family. Mornings filled with pancakes and giggles, the old doll sitting on the bookshelf in the sun, right between photos of us on the beach and me in my scrubs. The day I became head nurse. On my birthday, they baked a carrot cake, sang silly songs, and Nicholas gave me a ring, gold, with a tiny doll carved into the stone. I can't give you your past, he said, but I want to build a future, one where there are always 3 chairs at the table and no one is ever left behind. I said yes. So here we are. Me, Nicholas, and Sophie. Proof that sometimes love begins with a broken doll, a tired nurse, and a little girl who just needed someone to stay. If this story touched you, I hope you'll share your thoughts. What does real giving look like to you? What's the bravest thing you've ever done for someone else? Drop a comment below. Let's talk about it. Because maybe, just maybe, the smallest acts of kindness are the ones that rewrite everything.